For years, modding has been integral to PC gaming, providing an edge over consoles with the practically endless possibilities. Many games these days have been modded to hell, especially on PC, and they can create something entirely new. One well-known game which has a plethora of mods available is Doom, of course, and these mods can range from gems such as GoldenEye Doom to Deus Vault and to ZanZan, which was formerly known as Skulltap. But I think that one mod has really slipped between the fingers of many people, and this particular mod is called ZanZan. When I say this game isn't well known, I mean that the only other video of it on YouTube that I can find is a trailer by the creators themselves. ZanZan is a 3D total conversion for Doom, released in 2000, which was created by Ace Team, who you may know as the creators of Rock of Ages, Xenoclash, and Batman. Doom. This is gonna be interesting.
The coin says you lose, Batman.
Alright then, I guess it's time to play it. Oh! Z-Doom didn't work? Yeah, I don't even know what this means. I suppose I'll have to look for alternatives. Let's try it in ZanZan. Ah, here we go. New game, Mortal, and here we... Wait, what? Is that a cyber demon? I think something is wrong. Let's try GZ Doom this time, because that G totally makes all the difference. There we go! Oh god, what is that? So a giant frog just died. Okay. And here we have it. This is ZanZan. So if we just walk along here and... Whoa! Spiders! Oh god, let's just go and... Whoa! What the fuck is that thing? Whatever it is, it scared the hell out of me when I played this. Oh god, there's more of these... things. Why don't I have a weapon? Oh, is that my character? Jesus, it's hideous. Moving on, what's this? Oh, it's a bat thingy, and the thingy is talking to me. I'd feel better if the game provided a backstory or some lore or something. And that's the thing, the game provides none. It just tosses you in there and says, here you go, here's a dying frog, by the way you're a fucking ZanZan. After this bracing dialogue, we find a new enemy. The best way to describe him, her, it, is that it's essentially an imp from Doom. And by that I mean the coding is pretty much exactly the same. Just look at this. Anyway, it's clear that with no weapons, these creatures should be avoided because they do a hell of a lot of damage. Let's just avoid all these enemies and head over to this lava area. Alright, place your bets everyone. Will these stone slabs sink? Do you want the short answer or the long answer? Short answer? Yes, they sink. Long answer? Oh god, it burns! What's this rocky circle thing? Oh yes, a weapon. Prepare to die. Oh. That's really effective. So I quickly run out of ammo. What's this? I had a weapon the entire time and the game neglected to tell me? Huh, gee, thanks. I then move on to what seems to be a boss fight. One of those four-legged bastards tell me I can't beat him with fire orbs, which I assume is that gun I found earlier. Because he's the great Zidovist, and he invented them. If the effectiveness of these orbs is anything to go by, then this ain't gonna be too hard. Ah, shit. Wait, did I save it all? No, I didn't. At least we know that we have a weapon this time. Alright, so I made my way through the level again, so now I can put a beat down to this Zidovist guy. Wait, I hit him once and he gave up? So much for being the great Zidovist. He then attempts to bargain for his life by telling me info. Hold on a second. We get the option to kill him? Okay, I actually think this is pretty cool. I wonder if this could have consequences, and if so, that's quite awesome. Regardless, I decided to finish the fight. What's this? The Zesta Council? Zesta Council? What kind of name is that? It sounds like a club for freaks who just love zesty lemons. Anyway, as we enter the lemon party, get it? We find more of those four-legged freaks. I guess my actions earlier did have consequences, because the great Torriam is here to avenge his friend. And he called me an abomination. What a jerk. Torriam seems to be just as great as his friend, despite having a more effective attack. If by effective I mean he hits himself with it most of the time and ends up dying rather quickly as a result. Good job, Torriam. Now, the next room is one point where the game actually got tricky. Doesn't look so hard, right? Well, think again, because suddenly I'm trapped in a room, and I have to release my inner dojo master to try and avoid these blue balls of doom. Doom. Get it? Because this is Doom mod? Yeah. Now if I can just... Fuck! If I can just... God damn! Alright, we did it! Now that item up there better be a worthy reward. Is that a hammer? Oh my god! This is awesome! Seriously, this weapon is pretty much the most satisfying weapon in the game. At least from the weapons I had used. It packs just so much punch. You just feel like Thor slapping away creatures dramatically with Mjolnir. I love it! We finally did it! And that was just level 1! That was just level 1! Level 2 is relatively straightforward, but there was actually one point where I got lost, because it appeared that there was no way forward. I mean, I was sure I needed to be up there, but I can't just walk up, and there's no jump button. As it turns out, there is a jump button, but it wasn't even bound to anything on my keyboard. I'm not entirely sure whether this is a problem with ZanZan itself or just GZ Doom, but either way, I wasted far too much time wandering in circles. At this point in the game, things get quite stale. Nothing different really happens, and the novelty of these weird creatures has worn off. I mean, we get no new enemies whatsoever. This is basically the slump of the game. I was in low health, and I find myself in a narrow corridor, the steely gaze of the four-legged bandit staring deep into my forlorn eyes. And then he kills me. Again, and again, and again, and again! On my 6th attempt at fighting this bastard, I finally put the smackdown on him. But after this point, it became necessary to save after every enemy. Now let me tell you something. This isn't fun. It's tedious, and the last thing a game should be is tedious. Whoa ho ho! What's this, a rave room? For some reason, I don't trust these pots. They're really disconcerting. Okay, so we found Kukayam's museum, where the entry is punishable by death? Jeez, I'd hate to go there on a school trip. Oh god, what is that? I knew I couldn't trust those damn pots. Now one has grown hooks and wants to kill me. Oh god, keep hitting it, keep hitting it! Oh, I killed it? Well, that wasn't so hard. Moving on, we find ourselves at a door. A very slow door, which takes us to the next level. Wow, this music is pretty rockin'. Just look at this animal just headbanging over here. Suddenly a large headless humanoid figure appears, so I guess this is the boss. This boss is fairly challenging, but if you've already gotten this far, it's nothing impossible. The fight itself consists of 3 stages, the first being where he animates objects to attack you and uses melee attacks. The second stage is a homing ranged attack stage, and it's pretty much the hardest part of this fight. The third stage has him limping and throwing snakes at me? Oh yeah, and he has one final stage too. It's called Dead. As the screen melts away, dramatic music sets in, and the ending cutscene begins. It tells you every named character you killed, and also tells you that apparently the headless dude was trying to save humans all along? What? So we were the bad guys? I'm confused. Anyway, the ZanZan complains about being mortal and walks off sullenly into the distance, which doesn't actually seem that distant. This may be the end of the game, but this review is not over yet. This game may only be a Doom mod, but it falls short in that it's so dull. However, I really like what it has done with the graphics, and the music is pretty good. Let's not forget that there is actually a choices system in the game, which wins brownie points with me. The story is a little confusing as well, but it makes sense when you read the online comic. Why they couldn't put this comic into the game though, I have no idea. That's pretty much all I have to say about ZanZan. There's actually one question which still plagues my mind. What even is a ZanZan? I'll never shy away from the fact that I love point-and-click adventure games. In the past I have played many classics such as Monkey Island and The Dig, but only recently did I start playing one of the most renowned franchises of all time. That's right, it's the King's Quest franchise by Sierra. These games were thought-provoking and actually brought quite a bit of risk to the table with their many death scenes. There were 8 King's Quest games in total, and all of them, except the last one, are regarded as great adventure games. Therefore, I'm reviewing the last true King's Quest game, King's Quest VII, The Princeless Bride. I see what you did there. I guess we had better start with the intro. Now, it kinda messed up in my recordings, so I'm using the version from within the game files. First thing I noticed is that they completely changed the art style to a more cartoony one, reminiscent of the old Disney films. One of the protagonists for this game is called Rosella, and she is a princess of Daventry. And also, what the Disney? Is that a musical number? In a King's Quest game? It kinda feels like they're trying to be a Disney film here. I mean, the fantasy theme of King's Quest kinda fits with that, but it's just odd. Also, she's singing about wanting to have adventures. I guess her kingdom filled with ogres, witches and leprechauns simply doesn't cut it anymore. Then we get some unimportant dialogue with Valanice, her mother, regarding marriages and princes, and then Rosella tries to drown herself. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Rosella sees a magical kingdom underwater and naturally investigated by jumping in. That's smart. Instead of trying to find help, her mother just tags along. Oh my bad, this isn't King's Quest, it's Doctor Who! Oh, by the way, Rosella gets kidnapped by an evil severed arm. This is where the gameplay starts. There are 6 chapters in this game, and you actually have the option to start at any one of them. So we start in a desert, and I have to admit, this place feels really empty and hostile. And I don't know who this guy is, but my god, his walk animation has so much swag. So I help him out, and we learn he is the ghost of someone called Colin Farwalker. Looks like he didn't walk that far. Anyway, he gives me bug reducing powder, and also allows me to take a horn. So, how do I get back? What do I do? Oh, I'm dead. I guess this is a good time to bring up just how many ways there are to die in this game. Giant scorpions, giant spiders, giant man-eating plants, giant bears wearing trousers? Oh. A lot of the deaths in this game can come from your own stupidity as well, which is actually quite funny. The deaths in this game are much more forgiving than previous King's Quest games, because you're instantly taken back to where you were before you died. I personally like this because I'm a moron, but for more hardened adventure gamers, this is kind of annoying. Also, Valanice is quite, emotive with her gestures in this section. Show me surprise. Good. Now show me annoyed. Oh, beautiful. Now anger. Oh, this is gonna look great on next year's calendar. I have to say, the gameplay in this one is very nice. You can examine objects in full 3D, and some items can be changed using this. Everything else plays like the average point-and-click game though, which is fine by me because it works, so why change it? Chapter 2 then follows Rosella. I won't go into too much detail, but Rosella has been turned into
a troll? Oh!
And you explore the land of the trolls. My favourite character here is Oppie, because his voice is so soothing.
Oh, that's all right. I don't mind being interrupted by someone as charming as yourself. What can I do for you?
I like him. At one point in chapter 2, you talk to a dragon. It's all well and good, but, well, just listen.
I am
Do not fear me, little troll.
You're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my whole life.
The sound in this game is simply atrocious at some points. It cuts out continuously in some areas, and it sounds simply horrible. Now that I think about it, a lot of this game is kinda choppy, even in the animation department. The chapters of this game alternate between the stories of Rosella and Valanice, but my problem with this is that the chronology doesn't always make sense. This is mostly in the transition between chapters 4 and 5. In theory, Rosella and Valanice would meet given how time passes in this game, but they don't, so I just get confused. Chapter 4 is where this game really shines. In her recently reclaimed human form, Rosella explores the land of Ooga Booga. This place is really damn spooky. And it's awesome! The characters here are very memorable, and the entire place reminds me of The Nightmare Before Christmas. Dr. Cadaver reminds me of Dr. Finkelstein. The zombie kids remind me of Lock, Shock and Barrel. Heck, this game even has a bogeyman. It's kinda suspicious how Nightmare Before Christmas came out 1 year prior to King's Quest VII. There's clearly some influence, and it actually makes for a really cool environment. Also, that bogeyman I mentioned earlier, he only appears if you stand too long in one place. I found this out the hard way when I stopped playing for a second to check my Facebook. Facebook? Not even once, kids. Seriously though, this guy is terrifying! His theme is bouncy and chaotic, and he would strike terror into the heart of any gamer. In this game you can find a place called Falderal. Falderal is an odd little town full of talking animals. It's like they actually took this place from a kid's game and pasted it into this one. I know the series has had talking animals before, but they have never been this whimsical. I mean look! You have an aristocratic poodle called Archduke Fifi Le Yip Yap! Just let that sink in for a second. This bull dude worries me with his relations to his bird called Treasure.
If you will excuse me, my lady, I must go spend some quality time with Treasure. Quality time, quality time, quality time.
I don't even want to know what that means. There's also this chicken who is convinced that because a piece of cheese fell from the sky. Later on in the game, you are even forced to launch that cheese back into orbit with a rubber chicken. I mean, what, hey, how do you even think of this? Much like the previous King's Quest games, the fantasy is very Shakespearean. Heck, there's even an appearance from Oberon and Titania later on, who are characters from A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Sweet Mother Nature.
Chapter 5 is actually quite weird. It ventures into the ideas of dreams and nightmares, and is quite mystical. You arrive in the land of Etheria by flying horse, and as soon as you get there, you realise something dark, something horrific, something rainbows, yay! It really is a beautiful place, but you'd be forgiven for thinking that you stumbled across Care Bear Land. To be honest, given how odd this game is, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. There's literally nothing that can shock me now. Oh god, a Shoggoth! I was wrong! I wasn't prepared for this! By the way, this place is home to my least favourite puzzle in the game. The harp. All you have to do is replicate the song the fairies play. Simple enough, right? Not for me, because I have no musical talent whatsoever. This is one puzzle I had to look up, because I couldn't figure out which notes corresponded to each string. Don't do this! Don't cater a puzzle to musicians! Puzzles should be for everyone, not just one type of person. I'm not going to spoil the ending for you if you want to play the game, but I will say one thing. It's kinda cliché. However, considering this is classic fantasy, it's kinda appropriate. I can understand why people might not like this game, especially if they were fans of the older King's Quest games, because it's in an entirely different style, but in my opinion it holds its own well. True, I do have a few little complaints about this game, but otherwise, I really enjoyed it. The graphics are really nice considering when it was released. The music is quirky, and the gameplay, in my opinion, is top notch. Not only that, the story and characters are incredibly memorable, and all of them, even the villains, are very likeable. Come on now, could you argue with a game which has a dog that sounds like Sean Connery?
And you are not such a bad human.
I didn't think so.
Sweet Mother Nature.
It's cold out there. If there's one thing that gets the general UK populace stirring in a flurry of conversation, it's snow.
Recently, the UK has had quite a bit of this weather, and my god do people love to complain about it. So I thought I'd review a game which is set in a snowy land, a game with fantasy, adventure, and monsters galore. Now, I'm sure you were all thinking of Icewind Dale for the PC.
Skyrim? Pfft. Who plays that game?
Well, actually a lot of people do. This is a game I remember playing when I was young, even though I never really got very far, which is why I'm coming back to it.
Icewind Dale was released in 2000 and was developed by Black Isle, the brilliant team behind Planescape Torment and Fallout 1 and 2. And they also published the largely successful Baldur's Gate franchise. Let's take a look at the box. Icewind Dale, a Baldur's Gate engine adventure set in the Forgotten Realms. And there's also a tree, for some reason. I don't know. The art inside the box is very nice, and the art on the discs is really cool as well. The game starts off with a little intro movie, with an old guy talking over a book. It's a little too long to go over in full detail, so I'll just try my best to summarize it. So there's a place called Icewind Dale, which is separated from the rest of the land by a series of mountains. There were tribes of barbarians who lived here, and they lived happily and independently. That is, until Wizard McDouchebag arrives with an army of mercenaries and tries to take them over. However, just when they think it's all over, a hero called Gerard unites them, and they push back the forces of the evil wizard. This is where things get quite interesting for the barbarians. The wizard then lets all hell loose on the battlefield. Quite literally. Of course, he regrets his decision, and the demons murder everything. Our hero, Gerard, sees the havoc, has a religious epiphany, and then saves the day by jumping into the portal where the demons came out of. The demons go poof, and Gerard does his best Han Solo impression. I never actually remember watching this intro movie before. I probably just skipped it when I was younger. Ooh, this main menu. I know this may sound odd, but I really love the sound these buttons make. Pure nostalgia right there. And that music, by God. I don't think I've heard a more badass theme. Jeremy So, my friend, I want to marry your music. Well, it's best that we start a new game. Unlike most RPGs today, in this game you have 6 characters to control, and you have to create them all. You select gender, race, class, alignment, abilities, skills, appearance, biography, and name. This is quite in-depth, so as you'd imagine, this takes quite a while to do for every character. Right, we have the perfect party, but one more free slot. Let's make a female dwarf warrior. Yeah, here we go. Now for appearance. Oh my god! Oh my god, she has a beard! Did they not think that anyone would play as a female dwarf? Whatever, let's just make the most ridiculous character possible. Oh yes, that's beautiful. I call her Brittany. Don't you know that you're toxic? So we have Davy, Warwick, Brion, St. Bernard, Murloc, and Brittany. I can't possibly think of a greater team. Right off the bat, I noticed something I dislike about this game. While it does have nice pre-rendered backgrounds and decent sprites, the resolution is awful. The game runs at 640 by 480. So I thought I might as well just play in windowed mode. Now unfortunately, windowed mode doesn't actually allow you to pan the camera, which is necessary for playing the game. You can only do this in full screen. This means that I was forced to stretch this tiny sized game over a widescreen monitor. And just look at it! It makes everything look ugly! Anyway, the start of the game takes place in East Haven, a snowy village, and you're greeted in the tavern by Hrothgar, who looks like he is wearing T-51B power armor from Fallout. He just explains what you should do and leaves you to your own devices. I then decided to head over to the shopkeeper for some much needed equipment, and we engaged in some dialogue. It's pretty much your average RPG dialogue system. You have the neutral response, the polite response, and the snarky or hostile response. I'd like to think that I'm a nice guy, so I went for the nice responses. After kitting out my crew, I ventured off into the land. My party, prepared for the adventure of a lifetime. What's this? A young boy needs help with goblins? No problem. Away with ye, foul beasts! Oh no! Oh my god, no! Someone! Help! There's a goblin chasing me! They killed all my friends! Anyone? Oh! I did it! But my entire party is dead! Except my cleric. But no one cares about her. Some healer you were. Now everyone's dead. It's all your fault. Useless wench! If it isn't immediately obvious, this game, especially in the early levels, is really quite tricky. It involves a lot of what I call tactical combat. You can pause the game at any time and devise a strategy to eliminate your opponents, or perhaps just survey the screen. I realised, rather quickly in fact, that I am not very good at this. I remember now why I never got very far in this game. Upon trying to scrap with these little blighters again, I created a new strategy. It's called rush in and smash their little green faces in. Oh ho ho, I am a true tactician. Trust me. Once you get into the swing of things, this combat is very fun, and even though you have a lot to micromanage, it can be very exciting. The voices of your characters in this game are decently acted for the most part, but it's good to know that my party leader sounds like the enthusiastic role model everyone should look up to.
Yeah, that's fine, I guess. Sure.
What a heroic sounding man. Oh, and my halfling sounds like Squidward.
Go ahead. Okay.
Are you Squidward?
No.
In order to advance, I had to investigate the disappearance of a caravan, who were late for delivering supplies. I found my way into a cave infested by orcs. Unfortunately, I was a low level, so they beat up my characters pretty good before the orcs were finally beaten down. So, to clear this dungeon, I had to kill a group of orcs, rush back to East Haven, and then rest to regain health. Then mosey on back to do the same thing again. I'm not saying this is bad, but it's a little time consuming. I could have potentially used potions, but they are scarce in this area, and the shopkeeper here doesn't even sell them. Anyway, after a while of slowly chipping away at the orc population, we find an ogre with a group of orcs.
Crush!
And my party was slaughtered. Eventually, I found a way to separate some of the orcs from their group and take them out. This made it simple enough to murder the rest of the orcs and the ogre, thus completing the quest. This made me feel good. I had accomplished something difficult. I felt as if I had done well. Not many games do that, especially in RPGs. Most of the time, you're just like, yeah, quest complete, now fork over the loot, you stingy peasant. Returning to East Haven finishes off this section, which is called simply Prologue. This prologue took me about 2 hours to complete. It's immediately obvious that this is one long game. Heck, some Let's Plays of it span over 120 parts. That's how long this game is. If you have the dedication to break past the difficulty barrier, then you'll certainly enjoy this game, and get many hours out of it. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't play too much of this game, but it would take me so long to progress in it that it would take too long to review it in full. However, I will continue playing this game even after this review is uploaded. There's so much to do, so much to enjoy. I've only really finished the first part of this game, and I'm already loving it. This game has a lot of depth, and a huge feeling of adventure and accomplishment. It'll challenge both your skills and your mind through its combat, and even though the story is a little generic, it'll interest you enough to continue onwards. And the music, as I have already stated, is beautiful. Undoubtedly, this game features some of Jeremy Soul's best work. The game got a sequel and an expansion pack as well, to further add to your playtime.
I can't recommend this game to everyone because it is quite difficult. I mean, there is a difficulty slider in the game, but it seems to do little to help.
Now, if you've watched this review and thought, this game actually looks alright, then I would recommend that you buy this game from GOG.com. It probably works better than my retail version, and you'll be able to enjoy this game to its full potential.
I've always loved crossovers, whether it be a crossover game or a crossover movie. I just seem to have a soft spot for them. People often debate about which crossovers would be coolest, but personally I've always loved the idea that Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon would get a crossover. Now wouldn't that be awesome?
Around the time Spyro A Hero's Tale was released, Vivendi Universal entrusted Vicarious Visions with the Spyro and Crash licenses. Unfortunately, by this point, both franchises were beginning to become mediocre, but at least they hadn't reached the point where Crash looks like an annoying douche and where Spyro looks like the horrific result of a dragon and pug crossbreed. But I digress. Vicarious Visions produced 2 Game Boy Advance games which starred these 2 heroes, known as Crash Purple and Spyro Orange. Those names kinda remind me of another handheld franchise, but I can't seem to remember which one. Just to clarify, I'll be reviewing Spyro Orange, because I love Spyro. Need I say more? They both hit the shelves in 2004, and fans everywhere rejoiced at the... Oh. This does not bode well. I guess we had better get started then. Spyro Orange, the Cortex Conspiracy. As we can see, Spyro is hovering, and Sparks clearly had too much coffee this morning. The story starts off with Ripto and Cortex teaming up to get rid of both Crash and Spyro. It doesn't explain why they're in the same universe, they just are. Well, it's a good start. Then Spyro is told about a load of portals opening, and he is tasked with taking care of the monsters. And you know, Sparks is still caffeinated to hell and back. From the looks of things, this is obviously a 2D Spyro game. There are enemies and gems scattered around, with really nice environments to explore. Surely, it can't be that bad! Let's have a look at how Spyro controls, shall we? Remember how in 3D Spyro games you could charge and glide? Did you like those abilities? Yes, because neither exist in this game. Spyro can move, jump and flame, although some other moves are taught later, such as double jumps and head bashes. But without charging and gliding, it doesn't feel much like Spyro. But I'll let it slide for the time being. Well, so far this isn't too bad. Well, let's just go see what Hunter has to say. Once unlocked, these portals will take you to a mini-game. Wait, this has to be a sick joke. You can't just make an entire Spyro game based on mini-games, that's just wrong! I guess, without further ado, that we had better get started. Cars. Are you serious? Since when did Spyro have anything to do with jeeps with flipping artillery cannons attached to them? I mean, letting hedgehogs drive motorcycles is bad enough, but this? Really? This minigame is fairly easy, but if you mess up, you're gonna have to try again from the beginning. Unfortunately, these minigames aren't even short, so instead of being challenging, they're just really tedious and boring. Ah, here we go, end of the road. You did it. well, if you insist. Whatever, next minigame. And Spyro's in a tank. I can't even joke about this, it's just stupid. Look at this fire rate, it's simply ridiculous. And once again, this minigame drags on and on. Great. Every time you complete a minigame, you receive a small number of gems and a trading card? I assume this is some kind of social interaction multiplayer thingy, but it serves no purpose in the game whatsoever. And considering Moneybags, the shopkeeper, only sells these cards, this makes both the shop and the whole card system redundant. The other minigames in this area involve button mashing, bouncing balls, flying, and throwing Molotovs. You know, the true spirit of a Spyro game. After defeating all the challenges, the boss room opens. How exciting! Can you hear how excited I am? I swear I really am enthusiastic about this. Apparently the first boss is Crash, and we have to beat him with Molotovs. This is just how I imagine the situation. 2 gaming legends meet each other for the first time, and they're tossing Molotov cocktails at each other. I'm just utterly speechless. How can you mess up this golden opportunity? Just how? Whatever, I just defeated Crash, and now apparently we're working together. Yeah, okay, that's awesome. After this, I unlocked a new world. Even though this game is lacking in terms of gameplay and overall fun, you can't deny the fact that there is some awesome music. In fact, the music is probably one of the only good things about this game. The graphics in this game aren't actually too shabby, and they remind me of Donkey Kong Country, with pre-rendered sprites that give the illusion of 3D. It's something that redeems this mess of a game, but only slightly. Each world has 5 minigames, and considering these overworlds aren't straightforward, it's incredibly confusing. All the levels in older Spyro games' overworlds are easy to find and can be seen from a distance. This game only shows a portion of the screen, so most of your playtime in this will likely be from just looking for that last damned level to try and beat that world. Not to mention, the platforming in the overworld is a little fiddly, so you'll often die. And when you do die, you get taken back to the last minigame you completed. So you'll have to make your way over to where you were again. Ugh. One minigame introduced in the second world is this magnety, walkery, thingy, gamey thing, I don't know. And it's frustrating. I sure hope this one doesn't appear too often. Oh my god, did I just incinerate a scientist? He could have been a hero. He could have cured many diseases. He could have had family. What have I done? Alright, have it your way then. The second world's boss is Crush and Gulp, who were bosses in Spyro 2. Now, in Spyro 2, they were fun to play against, if not a little tricky. Luckily, this is no exception. This boss fight adds a little bit of the original Spyro trilogy fun into this game, and this fight is by far the most fun I had. If only the entire game was this good. In between Worlds 2 and 3, we discover that the Professor from the Spyro games and Coco from the Crash games have been captured, and just look at how Spyro reacts! This isn't how he would react to hearing bad news at all!
Oh my god, dude, the zombie apocalypse has started. That can't be good.
Lest we forget, Crash looks as if he has no idea what is happening. Yay, another world, woo. I actually stopped caring about half an hour ago. The minigames at this point start to become more difficult, and not in a good way. They just become more cheap and frustrating, and it's probably more fun to smash my head against my desk than playing these monstrosities. Remember how the second boss was fun? Don't get used to it, because this next boss is pretty boring. Oh good, we finally made it to an area in the Crash universe. It sure took long enough. And once again, the cycle of minigames and trying to find minigames repeats. Although this time, the boss is Cortex. This is gonna be good. The main villain of the Crash series is pitted against Spyro. And it's an alternate version of my least favourite minigame. Fine, have it your way, we'll play your stupid game. What the? Did Cortex just get stuck? Am I actually incapable of killing him right now? This right here shows quality. A recycled minigame and they can't even get it right. Oh look, now my shots are going through him. This is clearly a polished game. Finally, we did it! Although Cortex isn't beaten yet. We have only one more world to go. We can do this, not long now. So, where are the minigames? Huh? Maybe we've got to talk to the Professor first. We can only unlock the final boss by beating every minigame 3 times? No, you can't do this, that's just, no.
If it's not immediately obvious, I've had enough of this game. Some might say that they were only trying to make a little spin-off game, but I would argue that they didn't even try at all. Through all the boring mini-games, stupid story and tedious pacing, it's obvious why this game was so poorly received. Something awesome could have been created from a crossover of these two franchises. But you know, some things just aren't meant to be. And at least this review's over now. Welcome to Scarfulhu, where winter garments meet elder gods. And here we are with another game review. You know, I'm not even sure what game I'm going to review this time. So, I don't know, Maybe I should review something monotonous, frustrating, and possibly even on the PS1. Which game? Which game will fit that criteria? Maybe if I go get something to eat, I'll get an idea. What the? Tunnel B1? Tunnel B1. I actually don't remember liking this game when I was younger. But, you know, I think I'll give it another go. So, well, let's enter the tunnel.
Tunnel B1 is a game which lies somewhere in between a racer and a shooter, created by Neon Software. Neon Software doesn't actually have their own Wikipedia page, so I'm assuming they didn't do all too well. Maybe there's actually a reason for that. Who knows? This game was actually released on 3 platforms: PS1, DOS, and the Sega Saturn, although the version I'm playing is the PS1 version. This version was released in 1996 to mostly negative reviews, although it is pretty obscure now, all things considered. Oh boy. Where to start? Where to start? Let's take a look at the box art, shall we? This guy looks like he is going at some high speed, and he definitely looks worried about it. Heck, I know I would be. To be perfectly honest, this box art kinda, well, sucks. I wonder what the American box art is like. Okay, yeah, that's actually kinda terrifying. I think that image will give me nightmares. Anyway, onwards with the game. Oh, FMV. That's interesting. Well, first of all, we're in space. There's a big spaceship with lots of little spaceships. This makes it look like some sort of space-themed game, which is odd because it actually isn't a space-themed game at all. And this music makes me just want to... I don't know. Okay, let's just get into the game, shall we? Whoa, what? Okay, I'm getting a briefing of sorts. And this is my gun, I guess. I only seem to be able to turn side to side. So how do I move? Square? Yeah, you know, 'cause that's the most logical choice for moving forwards. Oh boy. The way this game controls. Moving forward is a bit too quick and is actually on the verge of being nauseating. And then you turn, and yep, now it's nauseating. The entire game feels like you're walking on an ice rink with shoes made of banana skins. You know what? Actually, this box art is very fitting. Yep, this is fine by me. So yeah, you can move around frictionlessly and shoot this gun. Wow, that gun sure looks powerful. So I guess I'm going around and shooting things and collecting points, I guess? Or score, as the narrator keeps telling me. I'm serious. Every time you pick up an object in this game, the narrator finds it in her heart to tell you what you just picked up. If you don't think this is actually annoying, imagine the same principle applied to Sonic. Ring.
Banana phone.
Oh look, a turret enemy, which seems to tower over me because the camera is going lower than an expert limbo-ist. You know, I actually think this is a huge flaw with this game. The camera is actually so low, it clips through the floor. I mean, really? Not to mention, being so low down makes everything look far bigger, and considering the high speed you go at in this game, it feels wrong. I honestly think if the camera was moved up just a little bit, this would play much better. But whatever, the show must go on. Ooh, car enemies. That's cool. I have no idea what happened there, but I like it. Let's try it again. Oh, I killed him. Well, I beat the first level. That wasn't so hard. On to the next one. I'm definitely not a huge fan of the combat in this game. You bounce off everything, so it's literally like a first-person shooter where you play as the ball from Pong. Lest we forget, the way this game controls makes it difficult to dodge enemy attacks, and you lose quite a bit of health as a result. Also, the health pickups in this game are simply stupid. You have these radioactive barrels, and they restore your health when you pick up something after shooting them. But here's the catch. The pickups only exist for a short amount of time, and if you don't pick them up, they turn into nuclear fireballs which kill you at a rate of "my face is melting" per second. This can be really frustrating if you need health, because you can end up screwing yourself over even more. What else? Oh yeah, everywhere looks the damned same. The layouts change behind you, and this only makes it worse. Most of the time in this game, I just have no idea where the hell I'm going, and I just go in any direction and hope I'm going the right way. There is actually a map in this game, but I was unaware of its existence when I played it, because it doesn't even mention there is one! In fact, there are a lot of features this game doesn't actually tell you about, such as speed boosts. To be honest, you already go fast enough in this game, why would you need to boost? You know what? I don't even know the story of this game. The intro tells you jack squat, and the briefing just tells you to go to point A to point B and collect stuff. Why are these blue cars trying to murder me? Why are there radioactive barrels everywhere that can heal you sometimes? And who the hell keeps placing wooden crates everywhere? Oh god, I'm nearly dead.
Energy low.
Yeah, I noticed.
Energy low.
Yeah, I knew that already.
Energy low.
Stop! I know! Oh, I'm dead. See how much it bothers me right now? And again, it'd be nice if I could easily avoid those bullets, but there's no strafing in this game. It really would have helped. There's no need to keep shooting my dead body, you jerk! At this point, I just decided to blitz through the level, continuously holding fire and ignoring as many enemies as possible. What's this then? A helicopter boss? Oh dear lord, this is actually quite tricky. Oh, he got me. I gotta strategize next time. Or just wait for it to hover next to me and rocket it like there's no tomorrow. I suppose either is fine. Level 3 is pretty much just more of the same. Getting lost in the labyrinth of everywhere looks the darn same. Getting killed by unavoidable attacks and pinging all over the place like a pinball on LSD. I actually got a game over screen on this level, but I had continue, so it's chill. Level 4 actually tries something different. It's like a sort of time trial thing, where you have to race from one end to the other in a time limit, and there's something like 6 sections. At first, I was enjoying myself, then I realised how horrible the controls were and how difficult this part was. It was at this point where I thought I was done, but you know what? I kept playing. I kept crashing into the damned boxes, I kept getting stuck on them, I kept failing and losing lives over and over and over. Alright, one more life left, gotta make this count. Aw man. Well, I guess I can just continue again. Yay for torture! Wait, where's my continue? Oh, I ran out. And guess what? My only option is to restart from level 1. And to be honest, no. Tunnel B1 isn't good. It can't even be characterized as bad, it's just broken. It feels unfinished, unpolished and unloved. A game like this could work well, but its major flaws prevent it from being anything decent. It falls down on being too damn difficult as well. I mean, you need to be a demigod to be able to complete this flawlessly. The graphics are horrible and the draw distance is far too low. I know the PS1 has limitations, but at least make the fog work with the game, like in Silent Hill. This is just bad. The one redeeming factor of this game is the music. But then again, it is composed by Chris Hulsbeck, the same guy who did the Turrican music. And there we have it. Tunnel B1. It was monotonous, frustrating, and a PS1 game, so I suppose that fulfills my criteria. But you know,
I'm glad this is over because now, maybe I can review a good game. Wouldn't that be great? As you all know, music is a powerful thing in games, but what if music was literal power? What if music was a form of magic? And that, my friends, is what Loom is about. So go ahead, ask me about Loom. Anyone? Hello? Alright then. Time for plan B.
Howdy.
Garry, ask me about Loom.
Okay then. Is it a game?
Aye.
And is it fun?
Aye.
Are you actually listening?
Aye.
So what's Loom about then?
Aye.
Bugger off.
Aye.
Loom, the neglected child of LucasArts on the Scum adventure game engine. This game was released in 1990 and it faced stiff competition from the likes of The Secret of Monkey Island and King's Quest V. This unfortunately caused the game's overshadowing and eventual fall into obscurity. So let's try and bring back these suppressed memories to the general population, shall we? Well, that's atmospheric. I like. So right off the bat, I'm confused. I would explain, but you can just watch this clip and you will understand.
Rise, son of Signa. It is the dawn of your 17th year. The elders await you in the sanctuary.
It's one of those games which invents a new universe and throws you in without any prior explanation of lore. I always find this is quite risky in games, but it didn't leave me bewildered like ZanZan did. So, from what I gather, you play as an albino Jawa by the name of Bobbin Threadbare. He just turned 17, and Navi over here tells you need to go visit the elders. This game doesn't give you any directions for the elders, so I just wandered around and found a forest, some seagulls, and tents. Unless these seagulls are the elders, then I don't really know where the hell to go. I mean, the tents don't really have anything interesting in them. Oh. Hold on, how does this place fit in a tent? It's witchcraft, I tell you!
Burn at the stake, I say!
We arrive at the Elder's place, where they are scolding an old lady. Something about disgrace or whatever, I don't honestly know. But they turn her into an egg. If you think about it, that's a kind of brutal punishment. Suddenly, swans attack.
Swans? Swans! You know, birds.
No, I'm serious. And the elders think it's your fault. That's one hell of a misunderstanding there. Okay, we're in control again. This egg is like singing to me? Apparently, it's trying to open. Okay, so maybe I have to take this staff? Ah, it seems that the notes the egg makes need to be replicated on the staff. This game's puzzles are reliant on these spells known as drafts, as they call them in-game, and you are required to learn several different types in order to advance. They present these drafts as making music with a combination of 4 randomized notes, and you know what? It feels kinda magical. And as you all know, I am a musical genius. Anyway, by using the draft ECED, I opened the egg. This combination of notes is known simply as the open draft. What's interesting about this is that you can play these backwards to reverse the effects of particular drafts. Upon opening the egg, a little black bird popped out. Turns out this bird is the old lady from earlier, and she can talk in this new form.
There's my boy.
What's happening?
It's bizarre. What else can I say? Whatever. She explains the situation and then departs, leaving you to go on your own merry way.
Everybody's gone and I still don't understand what's going on.
You said it, buddy. The first part of this game has you doing random tasks and ruining people's hard work by learning and undoing all the drafts they have done. These can range from removing dye by reversing the dye spell to turning gold to straw by reversing the straw to gold spell. Ain't I a tinker? After learning more spells, I decided to temporarily rip apart the fabric of the universe by opening the sky. Why did I do this? Well, a gravestone told me to, obviously. By doing this, I destroyed a tree, which subsequently fell in the sea. Hey, that rhymes. Now it's a perfect raft. Someone should have told Tom Hanks about this trick. There's something I noticed about this game rather quickly. Just listen. That's right, the entire game is musically sparse and has no ambient sounds whatsoever. This results in the game feeling empty. Perhaps this was intentional, or perhaps it was just a limitation issue, but either way, I don't really like it. This is only really a minor issue though. So then I reach a water spout? Well, okay then, and it teaches me the twist spell.
I think that's close enough.
Normally I would agree with that, but I'm curious.
What? That is the stupidest scream I have ever heard.
Not only does it sound ridiculous, but they play the same scream noise twice in a row? What? It's a rare case when a game does something so silly that it makes me laugh out loud. But Loom succeeded. I applaud you, Loom. In fact, have an entire audience applause. You deserve it. Anyway, you tackle this obstacle by reversing the twist spell, because you know, there was no other way around it. I gotta hand it to LucasArts, they truly created something unique here. The gameplay is original, and the atmosphere is simply bizarre, and I mean, come on now, in what other game do Scottish people materialise out of nowhere and start mocking you?
Thought you were going to fleece some shepherds, did ya? Maybe we ought to take the shears to you instead.
I think some of the voice lines are broken in this. They cut off too early sometimes, and even though the voice acting is nice, and much better than that of King's Quest V in both terms of delivery and quality, this early cut-off is really distracting.
Didn't know there were so many owls in these woods. Grass green, I hate that colour.
Oh look, is that N Cortex? No wait, it's just a bishop. They're kinda similar, I guess. So the majority of the game is pretty much just going around, completing random tasks by learning and casting spells, and talking to random people. Now this might sound repetitive, but the game pulls it off quite nicely in fact. The puzzles can be fun, but they're not particularly challenging. Did you know? There was vague interest for Loom to be a trilogy, and this is clear in-game. You were introduced to a character called Rusty Nailbender, who could have been the star of a game called Forged, set in the same universe. Another character you meet is Fleece Firmflanks, who is planned to be the protagonist of a game called The Fold, which would wrap up the entire story. However, the games were never made due to lack of interest by both Brian Moriarty and the LucasArts developers. How to ruin a Dragon's Day in 5 easy steps. Step 1. Get captured by a dragon who sounds mysteriously like an old lady.
Well, what have we here?
Step 2. Turn all of its gold into straw. Step 3. Send the dragon to sleep, making it subconsciously breathe fire. Step 4. Watch all the straw burn, thus destroying all the gold. Step 5. Revel in your douchebaggery. Later, we are introduced to the villain of this game, known only as Chaos, who was brought forth by that bishop guy from earlier. No worries everyone, the bishop gets rewarded. Oh, whoops, never mind then. As a result of chaos being brought forth, holes in the universe were ripped open, and it's up to dear old Bobbin over here to solve this problem. This is close to the end of the game, so I'm not spoiling anything else for you. You'll have to play it yourself. And if I can say one thing, I'll say that there is a cliffhanger ending. Now let me tell you straight, this is a good game, and it's incredibly impressive for a 1990 release. The story of this game is very interesting and is, in fact, very well written. The characters are quirky and memorable, the plot is unique, and the ideas behind the lore are simply fascinating. The music-based gameplay is fun and interesting, and heck, there are so many spells which you either have to learn or write down. I had a pen and paper with me the entire time when I played this.
And that, my friends, is Loom. It's a shame they didn't make the 2 sequels they had planned. I'm sure it would have been a marvellous series overall. I highly recommend this game to any adventure game fan, or just anybody, it's great. Yeah, it is a little short, but I think that's one of the things that makes it better. If it went on any longer, it would have been repetitive, and we don't want that now, do we? To put simply, this game is short and sweet, and I think it's pretty good. It's a well-known fact that side-scrolling shooters dominated the market back in the day. I mean, there were games like Commander Keen, Jazz Jackrabbit, and Zool. Unfortunately, this trend was quickly trumped by the late 90s 3D shooters. Not that I have a problem with those, it's just that I think that side-scrolling shooters have a bit more charm to them. So this time, we're going to take a look at Turrican 2.
Welcome to Turrican!
Turrican was originally released on the Commodore 64, Amiga, Atari ST, Amstrad CPC and the ZX Spectrum in 1990, and received some really favourable reviews. It was obvious that a game as well received as this one would attain at least one sequel, and Turrican actually got a few, spanning across many different consoles at the time. Now, you may be wondering why I'm reviewing Turrican 2, and that's because it was the first in the series to hit MS-DOS. However, this specific version of Turrican 2 was released on PC 4 years after its initial release in 1991, which makes me wonder what took them so long in the first place. Let's just hope it was worth the wait. Turrican 2 is home to one of my favourite title screens ever. Not only is the music awesome, but it actually teaches you how to play the game. It shows you all the abilities he has, the power-ups available, and the basic enemies. I honestly think this is pretty clever. You aren't even in the game yet, and you know the basics. Brilliant! It's like the idea that Egoraptor brought up in the Mega Man X Sequelitis video, but amplified. It's pretty neat. In a world made in MS Paint, a ship with pink hallways is attacked by evil mutants, and many of the crew are defeated in battle. To be honest, they look more like they saw something really gross. A pink-haired survivor vows his revenge against the mutants and dons his trusty Turrican suit. As I mentioned, Turrican 2 is firstly and foremost a side-scrolling shooter. Your task is to reach the end of every level within the time limit while collecting as much score as possible and blasting your way through robots, aliens, and men with the mindset of Ripperoo. It's a simple and yet effective formula that works well for games like this. Throughout the levels you can find many different power-ups which enhance your weapon. I personally prefer the multi-shot and the laser because I find the bounce power-up to be a little bit, Each power-up becomes more powerful the more you collect of them, amplifying the size and destructiveness of your shots. And I have to admit, it's kinda gratifying just blasting away with a giant laser. My only real gripe with the power-ups is that you can easily replace them by accident. It's very much like in Castlevania, when you accidentally replace a holy water with a knife, which can be kind of frustrating. You have many abilities available as Turrican. He can move, shoot, jump and duck as you'd expect, but he can also release a shockwave, create a stream of fire, and lest we forget, he can turn into a saw blade. All of these abilities serve a purpose in this game, and none of them feel underused. The shockwave is good for getting out of a tight pinch, the fire stream can be used for quick DPS and searching for secrets, and morphing into a saw blade not only makes you invincible, but also makes you kill anything in your path. It may sound overpowered, but it sometimes leads to your demise. Like that. My bad. There are also gems scattered around in levels, but they serve no purpose other than to increase your score. One simple thing I can say about this game is that it's difficult. It's very difficult. Maybe I just suck, but it took me ages to become skilled enough to get past the first level. Mastering the controls is simple enough, but the combat in this game is often merciless. You take your eyes off the balls for 1 second and boom, well, the balls kill you. At first I thought it might have been just me sucking at the game, but the more I played, the more I realised how flawed this game is in some areas. Firstly, the respawn places in this game are occasionally broken. The worst of it comes when you fall into a pit, and then respawn, but you respawn above the pit you just fell into. It ends up being a perpetual loop of death, which feels really cheap when it happens. Another issue I had was at the time it was a little too quick considering the level size. I actually found myself running out of time quite often just working my way through the Metroid-esque labyrinths of levels. And to add to this, I don't really think that speed suits this game, because rushing often just results in careless deaths. The levels are too complex to be built for speed, and Turrican is not Sonic the Hedgehog by any means. However, the thing that bothered me the most was the lack of blink time. For those who don't know, blink time is the short period of invulnerability after being hit in a game. It stops enemies from scoring huge combos on you with you being able to do nothing. Now, Turrican 2 has no blink time whatsoever, meaning that enemies can hit you multiple times very quickly, and sometimes you can die before you even realise what's happening. To make matters worse, you don't even have any form of knockback, or any indication of when you've been hit other than a simple noise. In games, it's important to know when you are getting hit so you can react to your enemies. Once again, this flaw leads to many a cheap death. Hey Turrican, ever heard of, fairness? It's not all bad though. Graphically this game is pretty awesome. Not as good as the graphics in the Amiga version, but it still looks pleasing to the eyes in this version, particularly the backdrops. In addition, the animations are smooth, and that adds an element of polish to the game's visuals. And the music. Oh, the music. Considering when this game was released, this music is incredibly high quality, and might I say there sure are some foot tappers in this game. One song which I love is the theme from the second level, Traps. This particular tune keeps getting stuck in my head, and even out of the game, I listen to it. There's only one thing that really bugs me about the music, and it's that the music can sound a little cheerful at times, considering how many times you'll die in this game. I mean, listen to this song. I mean, it's great, but the intro to that song doesn't really fit all too well in my opinion. Overall though, this soundtrack is legendary. I honestly would say that this is the magnum opus of Chris Hulsbeck's work. Now you may remember that Hulsbeck composed the music for some other games that we all know of. Let's just move on, shall we? Something interesting about this game is its vast amount of secrets and hidden areas. These often contain power-ups, one-ups or score, and can be pretty useful if you can find them. Throughout the game, there are also hidden blocks everywhere. Hidden block over here, hidden block over there, hidden blocks just about everywhere. The best way to find these is using the Fire Stream ability, although when you use it, you do kinda look like you're dancing. The main issue with the secrets is that you have to go out of your way to find them, and if you recall, there is a time limit to the levels. I don't really understand why the game both encourages and discourages exploration. I honestly want to find these secrets, but it's just not worth the risk most of the time. As I mentioned, Turrican 2 is by no means an easy game. The enemies are utterly tenacious, and the worst of them comes in the form of these little flying things that happen to look like miniature X-Wings. They're so hard to hit, and they do a little too much damage in my opinion. I find that the bosses of this game are a little boring to fight. Some of them you can just camp in one spot to beat, and some just take far too long. This particular fight has to be one of the most incredulously boring bosses I have ever fought. On the plus side though, the designs are actually fairly imaginative. Well, as imaginative as giant faces can be. The first 4 levels of Turrican 2 are simple enough, and you can beat them easily with a bit of practice and memorization of secrets. However, level 5 completely flustered me. It takes a more gradius approach to gameplay, but keeps the power-ups and hit detection, which unfortunately didn't really work here. There are parts where I just had no idea how I died because everything was so confusing and convoluted. Oh well, let's just profess my love of this level on the scoreboards. There we go. Turrican 2 is fun enough to keep you interested for a short while, but its blatant flaws hold it back from being great. The Turrican legacy lived on for a short while, spawning exclusives for the SNES and the Mega Drive, not to mention another official sequel. There was also a cancelled 3D installment, and a fan game known as Hurricane. But other than that, the Turrican series has pretty much reached the end of its lifetime.
Quite often you'll find games which are a gem to play. You'll also often find games which kinda suck, and sometimes you'll find games that lie somewhere in between. So what's my final verdict on Turrican 2? It's alright. I think we can all agree that there are a huge amount of licensed games out there. It seems like every slightly popular thing has had a game made from it at some point, whether it be a brand or just a TV show.
We've had games made for The X-Files, Home Improvement, Grey's Anatomy, Sailor Moon, and M&M's.
Approaching sound barrier!
Yeah, more often than not, licensed games kinda suck. But I'm not saying that all licensed games are bad, because that's not the case. There actually are some good ones out there. Now, one show that I really like is Doctor Who. And surely there's a good game coupled with this, right? Right?
Doctor Who, what a show. It's been named the longest running sci-fi show of all time, and heck, it even has a 50-year anniversary coming up later this year, which I am super excited for. The show features the adventures of a mysterious alien by the name of the Doctor who travels through time and space in a blue box called the TARDIS. With the help of a human companion, he frequently saves people from angry tin cans called Daleks and other bizarre aliens. The game I'm looking at today is an underlooked PC title from 1992 by Admiral Software known as Dalek Attack, which featured Radagast the Brown. No, wait. Which featured the 7th Doctor, played by Sylvester McCoy. With a name like Dalek Attack, it has to be fun. Right? Also, I can't seem to find any information on Admiral Software, like there's literally nothing on them other than the fact that they made this game. I fail to see how this could possibly go wrong at all. This intro is pretty bland. It's like a simplified version of McCoy's intro. Oh well, at least it's better than the 2013 intro for the show. The basic story is essentially that Davros wants to take over Earth with his Daleks, and once again the Doctor is very eager to stop him. I mean, look at this! 3 exclamation marks. Now that's pretty eager. Alright. Loading sewer. Well, I've loaded in worse places. I don't seem to be able to move. Arrow keys aren't doing anything and W and D seem to be useless as well. I just appear to be bobbing along in some kind of flying device. Whoa!
Whoa, jeez, everyone get on your safety helmets.
Jeez, we're barely 20 seconds into the game and we're already being attacked by Daleks. Let's just say the title bloody delivers. These Daleks are pretty relentless and they're hurting me constantly. It'd be nice if I, knew how to move. Well, there we go. I appear to have died. Literally, I was just stunned by this point. In fact, I was so stunned, I forgot to press continue. Whoops. Wait a second. Let's just cast our minds back to that pain noise of the Doctor. Can you imagine how it would be if these pain sounds were used when the Doctor was injured in the show? Wouldn't be pleasant. I suppose it would be wise to figure out the controls. After pressing nearly every button on the keyboard and listening to the amazing melody of those pain sounds, I deduced that you move up and down with Q and A. Yeah, I'd like some Q&As about that design choice, if you know what I'm saying. And to move left and right, you use O and P. These are some pretty unconventional controls, I have to admit. I mean, I'm a fairly avid PC gamer, and I've never seen controls like this in my life. Makes me wonder if Admiral Software actually had any experience making games. Well, I can easily speed past the Daleks now, so let's tackle these sewers. Now, could someone actually explain these sewers to me? I mean, for crying out loud, where do I even start with this? There's snot on the ceiling, there's people stuck to black tar on the walls, there's things jumping out of the sewage, there's drills coming out the ceiling and the floor, and everything explodes when you shoot it. Seriously, this is scrambling my brain. Wait, what killed me there? I just stopped moving and bam! I was dead. Whatever, let us try again. Oh, I see now. I flew straight into the boss before. That's fair. By the way, the boss is 2 giant snakes. Because one giant snake doesn't quite cut it. It's also a very tedious battle. Down, shoots, up, repeats. Did I mention that these snakes have far too much health? Because they really do. I also find it really amusing how when you kill one giant snake, the game begins to run more smoothly. It's clear that this game is poorly optimized, which tells me that Admiral Software had no idea what they were doing back in 1992. The worst part is that I get this impression after the first level. I'm actually scared to see the rest of the game. Let's just take a moment to look at the game's visuals. They're good. Not immensely great, but not terrible either. Admiral didn't do too badly here. Good on you, Admiral. I'll just get back to hating you now. Well, let's go to London. Can't be that bad. To try and make sense of this is like trying to make a delicious cake using plastic. It's near impossible to do it right, and even if someone did do it right, it wouldn't even be a pleasant experience overall. Well, we have Daleks, Wookiees maybe, and Nazi soldiers? Okay. There are so many enemies in London, it just becomes confusing, and I honestly just panic and try to find somewhere safe. Oh yeah, and did I mention that the Doctor is now capable of climbing buildings like Nathan Drake or Lara Croft? Also, the sky is pink, and it becomes more purple as you go upwards. Because that makes sense. Now, your main attack in this game is a laser that comes out of the Doctor's sonic screwdriver, but I really don't like this because in the show the sonic screwdriver is never used as a weapon, as it is simply a tool. Furthermore, in the show the Doctor is not typically violent, so I feel that this goes against his character. Don't believe me? Well, the Doctor can also use grenades. Do I even need to go into that? Was that... Yeah, that was fall damage. Great, now I have to deal with that too. Now that I know the controls, I can now switch characters. I can choose from the 7th Doctor, the 4th Doctor, and the 2nd Doctor. I think I'll have to go with Tom Baker, the 4th Doctor from now on, because, he has a scarf, I have a scarf. It's a mutual scarf relationship, although he does look kinda like a gingerbread man, which is disturbing. So right now I've scolded Admiral to hell and back for producing this sad mockery of of video games. But I've hardly talked much about the gameplay itself. The genre is easy enough to define. It's a side-scrolling shooter, much like Turrican, minus the intuitive controls and cohesive world. I mean, come on here! Nothing in this game has any congruency. It's supposed to be a Dalek attack, and yet we have other enemies who I've never even seen before, let alone enemies which would willingly work with the Daleks.
Any complications?
No complications.
I'm fully convinced that our good friends at Admiral didn't even watch the show before making this. They just took a few key details and mishmashed them together into an amalgamation of hatred and despair, which takes the souls of the innocent and absorbs them into its viscous, gelatinous flesh. I'm sorry, I think I got a bit carried away there. It's just that this may be one of the worst games I've ever played. After further exploration and practice, I learned that there are secrets to be found in this game, and they're pretty tricky to find. That's commendable, actually. It's a shame that trying to find secrets will likely result in your death. So this game has plenty of little items scattered around for you to collect. There's grenades, little lightning bolts which make your attacks more powerful, jelly babies, I think? And these logo things, they might be coins, I don't really know. You can find some of these items, and I'm not joking here, by squatting in certain areas. It looks really stupid, but you know, that's pretty much how this entire game is in a nutshell, so yeah, it's fine, you know, it works, yeah. Eventually, I made some progress in level 2 after dying, game overing, and starting all over again from the beginning. I found an elevator which led to where I was presumably supposed to go, but it said I needed a smart card. Okay, what's a smart card and where do I get one? I assumed that the building to the left would house one, and therefore I looked inside. Ooh, collectible people. Reminds me a little of Zombies Ate My Neighbours, actually. However, I can't seem to find a smart card, and if I take any more risks, I'm probably going to die. Oh, there we go. A Dalek killed me. Right. I'm gonna do it this time. This time, I'm going to succeed in my quest. I will get the smart card. I will defeat the Daleks. Prepare your army, Davros, for I am the oncoming storm. I am your reckoning. I am the Doctor. I'm also dead. Bummer. You know what? I'm done. This is definitely one of the worst games I have ever played, if not the worst. I was under the impression that games were supposed to be fun, and this definitely isn't the case here. The game is too frustratingly difficult, almost unfairly so. I mean, I do enjoy a challenge, but this just takes it too far. The only real redeeming aspect is the graphics, but even then, they're not that impressive. This game is just a disappointment on nearly every level and a spit in the face to Doctor Who fans everywhere.
Now that I've done this review, you may think that Dalek Attack may end up as some sort of running gag for me. Like some bad or disappointing games can be attributed to other reviewers, but that won't be the case here. I don't hate Dalek Attack, I actually just feel sorry for it. Sometimes the most merciful thing to do is just to leave it to die than to kill it yourself. Actually, that sounds kinda creepy. You know, here's an interesting fact about me. I hate journeys, specifically long ones, so what are the chances of me liking a game called The Longest Journey? Well, who knows? We'll just have to wait and see, won't we? Because the game I'm reviewing is called The Longest Journey. The Longest Journey is a point-and-click adventure game created by Funcom in 2000, or 1999 in Norway. I would have asked why just Norway to start with, but I took a look at one of the names of the developers and I kinda pieced it together in my head. The game boasts what Wikipedia calls an enigmatic, complex storyline, and the game itself has been heralded by some as one of the best point-and-click adventure games of all time. Better than The Secret of Monkey Island? Better than Myst? Well, we'll just have to see about that.
I'm a little skeptical myself, but I'll let the game decide. Allow me to introduce you to April Ryan, a sassy young artist who currently lacks inspiration for her art. By chance, however, April is having what she believes are bad dreams, and we get to see one of these in the game's prologue. These dreams take place in this surreal landscape with big twisty rocks, ominous fog, and a beautiful sunset. Isn't it nice? I could probably set up a 10 here or something. This short segment is designed mainly to ease players in. It involves a basic puzzle, a basic dialogue tree, and a basic introduction to our protagonist. And basically, it's, well, basic. But it's a neat little introduction with talking trees, glowing dragons, and vexed Metroids. Oh, this is gonna be a weird game, isn't it? Of course, this quote-unquote nightmare ends when the first chapter begins, in which our goal is to, go about our day. Hey, because that's what I play video games for. The thrill of a daily routine. On the way to where you need to be, there are a few people you can talk to. There are some people I'd rather not talk to though, like this guy. He's a bit of a douche, I have to say. But this guy here, Cortez, he's a mystic Mexican. We don't know that yet, but he does know about April's bad dreams. Apparently that's creepy though, and April gets a little annoyed with him. I don't know why though, I mean he seemed like a really cool dude.
Sunshine and pretty senoritas give an old man like me the blues. I like my days cold and rainy.
You preach it, brother. Anyway, the first chapter is fairly, uneventful. You're literally just going about your business until Cortez relays a message to you to meet up with him at
where children visualize their dreams.
Of course, you have to work out what this cryptic twaddle actually means. Because, you know, he's a mystic Mexican. Would it not have been easier just to say, meet me at the Roma Gallery? Ugh, oh well. This whole arc about discovering what Cortez wants for you is honestly drawn out a little much. I mean, after meeting him at the gallery, he asks you to meet him again. So, in the next chapter, you have to go seek him out yourself. Where is he? Why, he's in a theatre, of course. I mean, where else would he be? We can't just walk in, though. No, that'd be way too easy. Essentially, you've got to take care of the two guys out the front. One of which talks like a character from To Kill a Mockingbird, the other is Conspicuous Guy. Or at least, that's what the game calls him. Conspicuous Guy is hungry, so you can give him sweets, right? Therefore, let's put slime on a sweet. Because I'm a shining example of humanity. As for the other guy at the theatre, get this. You need to get a fuse key from a subway. Simple enough, but to do that, you need to make some kind of fetching device. And to do this, you need 3 items. The first is a rope, easily acquired from April's bedroom window. The next is a clamp, which you can easily get from this mystifying machine. But it's not that easy. Oh no, you need to rewire it with a gold ring you lost, but you don't know you lost it unless you check the notice board in the boarding house. So you see the complications here. The final item is an inflatable duck. Well, I must admit, this device looks, interesting. It's not exactly what I had in mind, but then again, would this thing ever cross anybody's minds? So finally, after this tedious battle with backtracking and logic, you can grab the fuse box key and bugger with the lighting, thus removing the guy from his post. So we're finally able to get into the theatre now, right? Wrong. You still have to get him fully occupied. It's ridiculous. All I want to do is meet up with a Mexican guy. Why is it so difficult? Now you have to confuse the theatre worker with a fire and a fake cop silhouette and make him do the monkey.
Hands up! Spread your legs! And do the monkey! Dance!
And there. Now we're in the theatre. This entire process seemed really overcomplicated to me. Honestly, I was almost starting to get bored. I was worried by this point, worried that I would find most of the game like this. Except, it's not all like this. Once the longest journey picks up pace, you discover that April is a shifter, someone who can shift between 2 worlds. Or should I say that they are a link between worlds? And this is where the lore of the game comes into place. Allow me to explain. So, the world as we know it used to be one world, consisting of both magic and logic, chaos and science. But as humans began to abuse magic, it seemed that the world would need to be balanced, and so the worlds were split into two different worlds. One of logic and science, the other of magic and chaos. The world of logic, Stark, is essentially just Earth, our planet. The world of magic, on the other hand, is called Arcadia, which is a fantasy world. And so we have two worlds in balance, separated to avoid the end of everything. Of course, our friendly neighborhood villains, the Vanguard, want to reunite these two realms for their own gain. And so, April is asked to put a stop to their evil schemes.
Oh man, this lore! So deep, so detailed. It rivals that of Discworld and Middle-earth. It's just simply fascinating.
This whole new world of magic is so much more interesting to explore than the logical, real world. I mean, compare these dank, forlorn streets of grey, laced with drug dealers, to this rich, inviting and bustling marketplace. The atmosphere is so much nicer in Arcadia. It's a shame the first few chapters are spent mostly in Stark, with only a short segment in Arcadia. It's sad because I can imagine that making some people lose interest in the game. It's a game you really have to stick with to enjoy. There is actually a lot going on in Stark though. You need to help get a kid cleared from the police databases, and you can meet some very important characters such as Burns Flipper, the disabled, flying, almost corporal Lalic genius, and Father Raoul. He's a priest. But once you've done everything here, the full Arcadian experience begins. You start off talking to Mr. Potato Head over here, but you go on to converse with sailors, save a talking bird who soon becomes your companion, and go on a quest to defeat an alchemist who is embargoing wind, so ships can't sail out of the port. And so we set out on our quest to slay the evil alchemist and to bring wind back to the town of Mercuria. But there is trouble in the forest. And along the way we meet the Gribbler. Cue spooky thunder sound effect. Yeah. The Gribbler is a monster disguised as an old lady. To be honest though, it is a poor disguise.
Oh yes, thanks, plump little treasure. A nice, pretty girl, thanks.
And people fall for this. How? For God's sake, she isn't even subtle. And it's a play on the whole Hansel and Gretel witch invites you in and tries to eat you motif, which, you know, makes it bloody obvious. Anyhow, this Gribbler figure is somewhat terrifying. So much so, it scared Jordan underneath as a kid. And that guy, he lives in a basement, you know. He's probably hard to spook. Oh god, how do I kill the Gribbler? What do I do? The loose plank? Oh. That worked out pretty well. Yes, okay. I'm hanging out with Ewoks. I mean, they're technically called Banda in this, but, you know, they're basically Ewoks. It's obvious how much this game borrows from popular culture. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but the game has hints of it everywhere. I mean, Stark feels like Blade Runner and Arcadia feels like Lord of the Rings. Again, not a bad thing, but it's not hard to spot the inspirations here. Anyway, we have an alchemist to defeat, and he lives in this castle. Great. Earlier, I mentioned that you save a bird, and it soon becomes your companion. Well, by this point, the bird, named Crow by April, is essentially in your party, so to speak. Outside the alchemist's castle is the first point in the game where Crow is actually useful. There are so many other places he can be useful too, and to make things better, this little guy just loves being sarcastic.
What am I doing here? What am I doing here? How about a nice to see you, Crow, or I've missed you so much, Crow, or at least a glad to see you out of that chest, Crow?
Ah, a bird after my own heart. Alright, we've dilly-dallied too much. Time to kill Roper Clax the Alchemist. There is a labyrinth of stairs and doors to go through beforehand, but that's not really difficult to be honest. Once we finally confront Clax, we can see that he is one of the most stereotypically evil wizards I have ever seen. And he seems to not only recognize, but embrace this. He ends up being hilariously stupid, and you know what? I love him for it. I don't really know what to do here, so I'll just give him a calculator. just defeat an alchemist with a calculator? Huh, yeah, we did. We just have to accept that. I mean, calculators are deadly apparently. They can absorb people. I don't really trust them anymore. Once we beat Klax, we can do some alchemy! Yeah!
Whoops, that didn't seem to mix too well.
Oh no. And we can also progress in the story. So there's that too. The next section of the game puts you on a ship, which I adore. This Monkey Islandish setting wins me over easily, and it introduces you to one of my favourite characters in this game, Captain Nebervey. I don't need to tell you why he's awesome, just listen to this line.
I feel in the mood for a shanty.
And I feel in the mood for a keel hauling.
This entire game is a collection of adventures in both Arcadia and Stark. You'd be forgiven for thinking you're playing several different games. The settings just fluctuate wildly. You go to an underwater city, not Rapture, you go to a desert island, you go to a village of winged creatures, and you even visit weird science labs later on. Science labs with spooky creatures in them. I think graphically, The Longest Journey has aged poorly. I mean, the backgrounds are pretty damn nice, but the people, just look weird, and they creep me out a lot. Especially this guy, who seems to be always on this train. Just watching. Waiting. That aside though, the graphics do get the job done, I suppose. This game also has FMV cutscenes, but they seem really awkwardly animated at times, and they almost reach Tekken levels of eerie. Each environment is unique and often rather stunning, even if many are unnecessary and only act to pad out the game. As a matter of fact, I think that this is the biggest fault with The Longest Journey. This game is as padded as that guy who wore 155 shirts. And I gotta tell you, that's a lot of padding. I mean, the game is long, sure, but a bit too much of that length is running around and backtracking. Some screens could have been omitted entirely because they have nothing in them that can be interacted with. It's actually exasperating to go to some of the places because of this. Puzzle-wise, I've played games with better puzzles than this. Some were difficult to get my head around and others were just boring. They weren't bad though, don't get me wrong. It was mostly figuring out the totems on the desert island which flustered me. I don't really want to go into too many spoilers with this game because there are many twists and turns on this roller coaster, which you should really experience for yourself. The Longest Journey is one of the best written adventure games I've ever played, with some sharp, witty writing to boot. Unsurprising considering the writing was inspired by Joss Whedon, who wrote Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Firefly and The Avengers, in case you weren't already aware of this. Which you should be. Is The Longest Journey one of the best adventure games ever made? No, not really, I'm afraid. Don't take that the wrong way though, because I really did enjoy this one. It has a likable protagonist, interesting characters, and a detailed plot. Not to mention the character development in this is fairly astounding. I love it. I would say that there are a few things holding this game back, but it is a good game overall. This game really is too long for its own good. I mean, it took me over 16 hours to beat, and that's ridiculous for an adventure game. However, perhaps I should have seen that coming, because, you know, it is called The Longest Journey. Halloween is one of my favourite times of the year. Now, I'm not really big into dressing up that much, but I do use it as an excuse to play something a little bit eerie or disturbing. So, to celebrate this season of all things gory and horror-ish, let's dive into the PC classic, Phantasmagoria. What better way to celebrate Halloween than to play a game which is not only an F&B point and click, but also a psychological horror game? I can probably think of better ways actually, but let's play Phantasmagoria anyway. Phantasmagoria was released in 1995 by those geniuses at Sierra Online, and it was a project spearheaded by none other than Roberta Williams, the woman behind the King's Quest series. And so, right off the bat, I have high hopes. The stars are aligned in favour of this game so far. I mean, Roberta Williams goes on record as saying that Phantasmagoria is the game most representative of her game design career. Those are some fairly big boots to fill. I mean, this could be really damn good. So let's dive straight into the deep end and see what happens, shall we? Well, this is certainly a dramatic menu theme if I ever heard one. I like it. So starting off, we see a dude taking some pictures. He takes a picture of some creepy building and suddenly the camera shot goes all Blade Runner on us and takes us into the building itself.
Enhance 34 to 36.
Man, this intro is weird. There's like a portrait of a face, a beating heart, and a snake with a human head wearing a turban? I don't even know, man. I guess it makes sense though, as this is the nightmare of a young woman. But then it turns out to be a nightmare within another nightmare. Whoa, this is some heavy stuff. The woman, Adrian, wakes up next to her husband, Don, and he comforts her. Well, they seem like a nice couple and... Wait, are they? Ah! Turn it off! Turn it off! Turn it off! I suppose these two certainly have a close relationship. Although it seems to me like Dawn loves coffee more than anything else.
How about some coffee?
Yeah, big one.
And everything seems to be in order here. Things are going well for these two, except for the fact that they just moved into a creepy mansion previously owned by a now dead magician called Carno. I mean, that's just the perfect horror setup right there. If you move into a place like that, you're essentially begging for trouble. After Don goes off to work on his photography, we are left to explore this spooky mansion. Oh, joy of joys. And so that's what I did. This mansion may be creepy and all, but it's quite impressive, I must say. It's got 3 floors with many luxurious rooms and already installed furniture and decor. In reality, this house would be a pretty damn good find. Of course, this wouldn't be a point and click without pilfering every possible item. A matchbook? I'm having that. A hammer? That's mine for sure. A fire poker? Oh, you better believe that's going in my pockets. Somehow. The interface of this game is perhaps one of the coolest I've ever seen in a point and click. There are 3 segments of this interface, and they are your inventory, the item viewer, and this spooky, scary skeleton, who acts as an item identifier and a hint system. But just listen to his voice.
I am the official hint keeper. I watch your every move.
I thought the point of hints was to try and deter you from clicking on them, but I really want to hear that voice. He makes everyday objects sound like lost artifacts. It's amazing.
A book of matches, a fireplace poker, an old hammer.
Also, the item viewer is cool, but it's pretty much the same as the one in King's Quest VII. Well, apart from the fact that rotating an object is more like a helicopter rotor in this game, there isn't really a goal to this game's first chapter. You just explore the house. And as an environment, I really like this place. It's fairly nice. I'm not exactly convinced by the creepy fortune teller in the hall though. Evil will walk the earth once more, huh? Yeah, I believe that, sure, whatever. You go through more and more rooms of the house, but eventually you discover a chapel hidden behind some bricks. This chapel has a big creepy book and a small closed chest. So what's the sensible thing to do here? Is it A, to leave them alone, or is it B, to mess with them? Common sense dictates that we leave them alone, not to be touched. Ever. I mean, they must have been sealed away behind a wall for a good reason. But Adrian over here, oh, she just can't resist touching them, can she? And of course, some kind of evil spirit gets released. And the award for Dumbest Person 1995 goes to Adrian Delaney. Yeah, she ain't exactly the brightest bulb in the box sometimes, I gotta say. But that's not my only problem with her. I mean, look at her idle stance. She looks like she's about to get shouted at by Ali Ermi. Furthermore, Adrian isn't talkative enough in my opinion. Most point and clicks pride themselves on having witty banter when you click on things. Most of the time, Adrian kinda just shrugs. It's completely unhelpful at times, as the response lines in other games would commonly act as a hint for what you need to do. Not to mention, it makes her character kinda flat. There isn't a whole lot to her. I can't really pick out a specific personality trait. Anyway, Adrian releases an evil spirit and here's a crash. It seems Don hit his head. Coincidence? Well, perhaps not, because the next day, he seems to be really hostile for no reason. I mean, he even asked Adrian to get him some drain cleaner. How terrible.
Did you go buy the drain cleaner like I asked you to?
What? Drain cleaner?
No, but seriously, something is really wrong with Don. As the chapters unfold, it becomes increasingly clear that something happened to Don when the green mist came out of the box. He suddenly becomes really violent and unreasonably harsh towards his wife, to a point which is honestly rather shocking, even to the player. So yeah, Adrian, you really messed up. Acting-wise, this game is cheesy.
Yeah, I screwdriver slipped. It's a damn drain.
Let me see.
Oh, I'm okay.
But it's not like cheesy acting actually bothers you guys. I mean, you are watching a video made by me, so I'd assume you have no qualms with cheese. Soon, Phantasmagoria introduces you to more characters such as Cyrus, the kinda dumb and strong yet gentle helper, Harriet, a woman who gets stuck in things, Malcolm, a very, very old man who used to live in the creepy house, and Mike. Mike repairs things. What a guy. It quickly becomes clear that the house might actually be haunted. People in the town of this place seem to pity Don and Adrian for buying this house, and so they should. This place is really starting to give me the willies. As you play through this game, you might start to notice things. Strange things. It starts with more subtle things, such as the bad dreams and things just not being right. Mirrors reflecting the wrong reflections or ghosts seeming to appear. But then you find secret rooms and passages, discover things you probably shouldn't know, see things you should never have seen. Items placed around the house start going missing and you find them in some odd places, and you witness some awful, awful visions.
And by that I mean, you see death. And lots of it. And they're really graphic too. If you like gore, you'll like these. You morbid freak. But if you're a little more squeamish, then I recommend turning away, because these are a little black.
They're all ghosts from this house's past, and we see Carno murder his wives in horrifically unique ways. But not all is as it seems. Apparently, Carno used to be a good man, but something changed in him. Something drove him to become a psychopath. A similar thing is happening to Don. And if we do a little bit of math here, take the 2, carry the 4, divide, we can arrive at the conclusion that bad things are going to happen. Eventually, we can find the whole story of the house and what exactly happened here. Without spoiling too much, Malcolm, the old guy from earlier, explains his perspective of the events. And he soon reveals that there was a demon living inside Carno. And now, this demon lives inside Don. That ain't good. Hey, Mike finished the repairs. What a guy. I hope to see Mike again soon. Oh no. Oh no, not Mike! Why did it have to be Mike? You'll be missed, Mike. You'll be missed. And then we reach our final chapter. And here, it's all going down. Don's gone full on crazy, there's no escape from the house, and Don wants Adrian dead. Up until this point, the game was just morbid, but now it's tense as hell. For me, this is where the true horror comes in. Don begins to chase Adrian, and she has to hide, fight, or die. This part is really quite scary. You gotta be quick or you're gonna be dead. And then...
And I'm not going to spoil this any further. This game is just too intense to spoil. If you really want to know, go find out yourself, you lazy sod.
Phantasmagoria is a strange game. It's not bad, but it's definitely not great. As I said before, the acting is cheesier than a 4-cheese margarita pizza, with a side order of cheese strings. But is that necessarily a bad thing? I mean, it is essentially a horror B-movie in game form, and if you look at it in that way, it's actually quite enjoyable. As an adventure game though, it's somewhat iffy. The interface is lovely, but the puzzles are so simple. It's more just common sense than anything else. And to be honest, I think this game has more of a storytelling focus than a gameplay focus. And really, this game isn't hugely scary now. I imagine at the time it was fairly chilling, but it feels kind of fake and dated in its effects now. You really have to look at this game from the perspective of when it was released to get the most enjoyment out of it. But you know, there's something I really like about this game. I can't place my finger on what it is, honestly. I just rather like it. It's charming in its own way somehow.
And because I've got nothing else to say, I'm just gonna make a montage of all this game's death scenes put to unfitting music. Be warned though, these death scenes are not only spoilery, but also very gruesome, so you might want to skip it. Or you might just feel... black. Lovely. Anyway, happy Halloween. And don't eat too much candy. I'm serious, don't. It's gonna be bad for you. You should eat fruit.
season to be jolly. Lots to have. And dogs barking outside. Sorry about that. So I was thinking what game to review for Christmas, and I was honestly at a loss. It's not like Halloween where you have a huge pool of horror games to choose from. So honestly, I didn't know what to do. And then it hit me. Why don't I add Christmas to another game? And what game is going to receive this lucky treatment? Well, it's a little mod by a guy named Garry. So join me on my Garry's Mod Christmas adventure, or whatever else I decided to title this video, wherever the title is, I don't know. For those of you who don't know, Garry's Mod is a PC exclusive mod for Valve's Half-Life 2. You have no real objective in this game, you just do what you want. It's a sandbox and then some. If you want, you can build a car out of toilets. If you want, you can make a tea party, attended by Sir Daniel Fortescue. And if you're really bored, you can just shoot things. Lots of things. I mean, why not? You're given the tools to let your imagination flow, and that's why this game never gets old to me. So, if we can make or do whatever we want, let's make Christmas. Or do Christmas. Have Christmas? Save Christmas? I don't know. Trees and stuff. First map, RP Christmas Town. Starting off, we have some code issues, such as the life in Gmod. At least now, I can be Shadow Man. But not that Shadow Man, which I never played. But he is holding a skull and wearing sunglasses. I mean, you can't really get much cooler than that, can you? First of all, we should pick a player model. I could be G-Man, I could be a Quake 2 enemy, but my true form is Purple Boba Fett. He's my spirit animal because he's got that sass. I gotta say, this is a nice map, full of little details, cutesy Christmas decorations, and all-round holiday cheer. So, what should I do here? Well, I thought some exploration was in order, and so I found a house. Although I couldn't get in because some fool locked the door. What an idiot. At least I can cheat, so let's just do that. And it's a fairly nice house, quite homely. And on further inspection I find a song list? Hell yes! Although I won't just settle for one song, oh no, I'm gonna play all of them at once! Now that's a Christmas song. They told me that I couldn't merge Christmas songs together. And they were right. After smashing some objects around, I decided to head back outside, and then this snowman decided he was going to give me the eye, and so I introduced him to a friend of mine, and then eliminated the witnesses. Well, now what? Maybe I'll try out some of my previously built contraptions. This right here is the Death Trundler, because it trundles along, although I'm not exactly sure where the death part comes in. It's more of a vague annoyance than anything else, to be honest. And then I try to remove it and the game crashes. Whatever, let's just move on. It's fine. Gmod Tower, now we're talking. If you've not played on it, Gmod Tower is like a lobby and you can go to different places and play minigames. It's kinda like that place in Wreck-It Ralph. I never watched Wreck-It Ralph actually. Was it good? No, seriously, was it? I'm actually curious about that. But as it's the Christmas season, someone left some things in the lobby. A big sack, a big tree, but most importantly, a tiny train, and that's what I'm talking about. I quickly learned that Gmod Tower is full of pleasant individuals like these folks who have interesting conversations.
Thanks, Briscoe. I'll give you a kiss. Come here.
Oh my god!
Yeah. Interesting. Well, at least that one guy from One Direction turned up, and what was his name again? Niall? I don't know. He gave us a beautiful performance though.
Nobody else. Oh, well.
Anyway, without further ado, it's time for mini-golf, because why not? Nothing says Christmas more than putting balls into holes. That's a direct quote from Tiger Woods. Well, I signed up for golf, but apparently I'm golfing on the moon. Does that even work? I mean, I've never tried it, but you know, it's the moon. It's floaty and stuff. Like in Wallace and Gromit, you know, the one with the skiing robot. The ball will probably just go on a journey to places unknown. I'm not actually too bad at this golf game. I mean, apart from when this happened and I couldn't see. You know, I think one prerequisite for golf is being able to see. Are you sure that's important? Hold on a second. Golfing on the moon isn't exactly a Christmassy thing. Well, I guess I could make a Christmas song out of it. Brace yourselves. I'm golfing on the moon. I'm golfing to a Christmas tune. I'm golfing on the moon. Let's hope this song ends soon. I mean now. Let's get back on track with another Christmas map in single player. I seem to be a bit of focus more there. Next up, Xmas Ape House S. Where are the apes? I can't seem to find them. This map is odd. Why is there only one house in the street with Christmas lights? And moreover, why does the Christmas tree in that house look like it belongs in some kind of alien hell dimension? It's really freaking me out, man. Anyhow, let's try something different for this segment. I'm gonna be an agent, like that Coulson guy off that show about shields or something. He's cool. Your mission, rescue Barack Obama from the amnesia monsters and eliminate all hostiles. Even Yoshi. Doing these little sieges can be really fun, just gunning down random characters from a plethora of universes, or just anyone for that matter. You can really make this game your own. I really liked my upper floor though. First you go through some sligs, and then you go to the president, but the amnesia monsters are there, and they got me the first time around. Luckily I'm like a cat, except instead of 9 lives, I have as many as I want. Don't judge. So then, I decided to face off against the monsters with a shotgun. Why not? Shotguns are cool. Oh, amnesia monster, you feeling okay? Ooh? Physics. And then I saved the president and we drove away in a baggage handler. Now that's a beautiful ending right there. And that about concludes my Gmod Christmas thing. Now you may be a little bit confused because this video is basically just me messing around and having fun in Gmod, but the point is, Gmod allows you to do anything you want to do. Be anywhere you want to be. And more importantly, it's about having fun. And isn't that part of the Christmas spirit? Anyway, have a fantastic Christmas. And remember, eat lots of food. It is Christmas after all, and that's what I'm going to be doing. Stuff in my little face. Wasn't exactly a little face, but you know.